It's Britney, bitch.
Every time they turn the lights down, just wanna go that extra mile for you. You're my display of affection. Feels like no one else in the room. We can't get down like there's no one around. We keep on rocking, we keep on rocking. Cameras are flashing while we're dirty dancing. They keep watching. Keep watching, feels like a crowd is saying, give me more, give me, give me, give me more, give me, give me, give me, give me, give me, give me, give me more, give me, give me, give me more, give me, give me, give me, give me, a center of attention. Even when we're up against the wall, you got me in a crazy position. If you're on a mission, you got my permission. We can't get down like there's no one around. We keep on rocking, we keep on rocking, rocking. Cameras are flashing while we're dirty dancing. I keep watching.
Hello, hello, hello. How is everybody doing? Happy Valentine's Day. It is a day for love, and we finna get real toxic with this show, and I cannot wait. Welcome to the live. Y'all already know how this goes. If you are just getting in here and you have seen the show, drop down in those comments and let us know what you thought about it. And if you haven't seen it before, I'm sure via this conversation we can get you interested in it. Be sure to hit the like button. Be sure to share. Be sure to, to tell a friend that we're live talking about apple cider vinegar. Definitely not going to waste any time. We have a guest. We have a guest here. To be polite, I'm definitely going to bring him out first because I'm glad that he's given us some of his time today. Welcome to the stage, Joseph from Fish Jelly Films. How are you doing? And what did you think about this show?
I thoroughly enjoyed it. There's a lot to talk about.
Absolutely. Absolutely a whole lot to talk about. Y'all already know my partner in crime is in the building, Ashley with the sweet perspective. What's going on? And are you taking your shots of apple cider vinegar in the morning? Because I am.
Girl, no, I'm not doing anything Belle Gibson recommended, said, even said in passing. I'm not doing anything this raggedy heifer advised anyone to do ever, Tyra, ever.
Well, first, I was taking my shots way before I even knew what a Belle Gibson was. I didn't know. I didn't know. But y'all, we're gonna go ahead and get into it. But before we jump all the way into what are these overall thoughts, Ashley, I am going to come to you first. Belle was an absolute menace in the show. I want to know which one of these stunts shocked you the most.
I mean, listen, some women's audacity knows no bounds. You know what I mean? And I feel like I can say that safely because it is Black History Month, right? But none of this surprised me. Once we met Belle, I was hoping that with the little boy who was in need of this surgery, I really was praying and hoping like maybe this is going to be her one altruistic deed. Maybe she's going to come through, but the theatrics at the funeral, no. Because again, I aspire to the level of audacity of mediocre white women. I aspire to that level of audacity. Hopefully one day I'll arrive, but no, none of it. Not her falling out and faking a seizure. None of it surprised me, Tyra.
I mean, I'm going to say that the seizure surprised me because that was the moment that I was like, see, you've been running around here fraudulent, talking about you were sick, this, and now you're having a seizure. And I was like, oh, she's faking it. I really thought she was having a seizure. I really thought she was having a seizure. Now, the audacity for her to show up at that funeral and cry in that manner. Oh my goodness. But the seizure took me out for a brief second. I didn't think it was a stunt. And then I was like, oh, I fell for it just like everybody else. Joseph, which one of these shocked you the most?
I was shocked by the seizure. For sure. She felt like a desperate woman, but I was still shocked. I do have questions about the funeral, which I'm sure we'll get to. But
Yes.
yeah, the audacity of it all is crazy.
It was a whole lot. I will say, as far as getting into these overall thoughts, I thought this show was amazing. I thought it didn't overstay its welcome. It was just enough. 6 episodes. It was a little slice of life. I thought it was perfect. I wouldn't change too much of anything. I thought it was just the right amount of anticipation beginning at episode 1. Once the show starts, it really doesn't stop. I thought everybody here showed up and showed out for their roles. And I feel like whoever wrote this, because I wasn't going all the way over there, not today. Whoever wrote it did a really good job at knowing when to add and when to take away. So much here for the stunts and shows. I was like, this couldn't have happened. Are they just putting this in here? A lot, majority of this stuff here happened, and I was really, really surprised by that. But I thought the writers did a really good job here of knowing when to dive more into fictional things and add to these characters, and when to keep things the same. Joseph, what about you? What were your overall thoughts of this show?
I thought it was excellent, gripping. I do have a couple of gripes, but overall, yeah, excellent.
Ashley?
I really, really enjoyed it. And it actually turned out to be much deeper than I thought it was going to be originally. I was just like, okay, this is just another one of those heists, where they believe this liar who's not showing any signs that she's sick, that she's dying, and they're going to give her all this money. But when I looked at it, especially comparing her to Milla and kind of seeing their stories run concurrently, although their lived experiences were completely separate, the end result was ultimately the same in terms of doing harm. And I really liked how they focused in on that. And I also liked how we got this third woman's perspective who was following Belle the entire time while she was having her own battles. I really, really enjoyed it. And I didn't expect to, honestly. I was like, oh, this is just another one of those stories, but it surprised me.
No, it was. I love these. I don't know why the limited series situations are showing up far better than some of these shows that we are getting. I'm not mad at it though. But just a little recap. Who is Belle Swan? I had no idea. Bella Swan, Belle Gibson. I didn't know who this woman was prior to this show. I really had never heard of her. But we go from teen mom to mogul. She's a high school dropout and a habitual liar, habitual line stepper. She's terrible. She's an Instagram influencer, and we invented the whole pantry app, amongst other things. And we get into being an Apple affiliate and eventually getting into a whole bunch of fraud. That's just really condensing it down. But Ashley, did you know anything about Belle prior to this show, or was this your first time ever hearing about her?
This was my first time. I stay out of those Anna Delvey type of streets, Elizabeth Holmes. I try to stay over here. So no, I didn't know anything about this Australian fraudster. I had no clue. This was brand new. And of course, after I went down the rabbit hole, because again, the level of audacity was insane. And just to find out even after this, what she continued to do,
Yeah.
yeah, no, I had no idea. Sorry to this woman. If I saw her walking down the street, I wouldn't know a thing, Tyra.
Would know a thing. Joseph, what about you? Were you familiar with Belle Gibson? Because I just feel like we should have known who she was. And the fact that we didn't, that really means she didn't get any repercussions for anything. They swept this under the rug just as quickly as it happened. Did you know about this lady?
Absolutely not.
Hmm.
No, no. And when you told me about the show, it wasn't even on my radar. And I told you, well, let me watch one episode and see what I think. And here I am.
Yes, absolutely. It wasn't on our radars either. It just kind of popped up. Normally, they promote the hell out of these type of shows to have viral moments and catch the TikToks, and there was nothing. I was really really surprised, but I'm absolutely glad I watched it, and I would watch it again. But before we dive into these characters, I feel like the major theme and takeaway from the show was getting into the pharmaceutical industry, like versus nature, man versus nature. It was just all these holistic choices, as well as just the business of selling wellness. I was really interested here in the divide, and I just knew a lot of this had to be embellished. It just is really surprising that it wasn't. But Ashley, I'm going to come to you. How did you feel about the depiction of our three, I don't even want to say women because one of them was a liar, but we get three various depictions of women who are suffering with cancer and tumors and different things in different stages, and they're all being treated in different ways, but we have them picking and choosing. And I didn't realize before watching this, or else I just didn't think about how much we are peddling and able to sell wellness in the healthy side versus just the medical industry. It's kind of neck and neck. One is not better than the other, but one definitely looks more appealing. What did you feel about those themes in the show?
Yeah, it was really interesting because I went on a journey, especially with Milla, right? Because when she first gets this diagnosis, it's like I want to advocate for myself. I want to be in control of my health. And in the beginning, I really respected that. I'm like, well, girl, see what you can do. Prosthetics are good options nowadays. Like, go on and get the arm cut off. But if this is what you want to do and this is the choice that you want to make, sure, advocate for yourself, do all of the things. With our breast cancer newlywed, and I can't, forgive me, I don't remember her name, but I just thought
Lucy.
this journey was so interesting because I think when you, and I can't fathom it, it really put me in a place of empathy for both of those ladies who were actually sick, because imagine getting just the worst news possible, right? And then it's like, how do I handle that? Do I want to be like pumped and prodded and injected and go through all of these horrible things? Or is there another way? And so I'm not against per se pursuing alternative medicine routes, but also listen to your doctors, listen to your body. I will say by the end of it, when old girl is on her ayahuasca journey or whatever she was doing out there and they pulled out the card reader, I said, oh yeah, so commercialized. Like, is it really holistic if it's for sale? Is it really a spiritual practice if it's for sale? But I like that they had us thinking in those terms.
That surprised me when she pulled out that credit. I was like, wow, we already paid to get here. But I just really like just noticing how something like wellness and taking a holistic route can look so appealing when you have these doctors and nurses just really approach you with the worst news in the world and treatments, and they feel really detached because they see this all the time and it's a really cold environment, and then you're swiping and you see something that just looks so much better. You can just tell why it would be appealing. Joseph, did you get into the pharmaceuticals versus nature?
Yeah, it's interesting. I think a lot of things in my own life, I tend to want to defer to people who are experts in whatever area I'm dealing with, whether it's the person who needs to service my car or my dentist, or I think things would just be easier and I would have better results if I just listened to experts. And then when it comes to health and wellness, it's like, well, a lot of this to me makes sense in a preventive sense. Like a healthy lifestyle can prevent certain things.
Yeah.
But once you have big old tumors on your arms, I don't think wheatgrass is going to get it. That black salve is not going to get it. Like, it needs to be cut off. You need chemotherapy. I would trust research scientists and medical doctors before some stinky lady at a coffee shop. Like, that's just me.
It's just really desperate times when you think you're gonna turn over a rock and go like, well, over here in Germany and all the way here in Mexico and all the way there we're doing this. I'm sure there are plenty of people who have been there and done that. Now we have Belle here. For anybody who did not watch the show, y'all already know that I'm going to give a little edit so we can get into these characters in real time and maybe just have a reminder of some of the stuff that we forgot. But I didn't get just too deep into Belle here. We're really getting into her being trash. I tried to get the most trashiest moments.
Because I was diagnosed with a malignant brain tumor. I was given 6 weeks to live, 4 months tops.
When were you diagnosed, Belle? I'm trying real hard here.
There's a chance that they're not sure she's gonna make it. 25?
$24.95. It was on sale.
Cheap bitches. Maybe you shouldn't come, Mum.
No, we have to come.
You have a malignant brain cancer. You're dying. Food needs to be digested, so I'm taking lunch now.
I'm missing stock, so I'm not saying you've stolen them, Isabella.
Good, because I took them home to photograph them for the site I'm making for your store.
Yeah, I just dropped my
She's
partner
so
off at the
hard.
front.
Are you sure it's chemotherapy today?
Yeah.
What sort of cancer is it?
One more.
You angled out.
Oh, okay.
I cannot stand her.
My headache.
Always. Do you mind?
They think it's ready. Yeah.
Why didn't you say it's ready? I did it.
Oh, the headache's gone?
I lost the baby.
I did it.
When was this? She's human. A big life. Not an easy life.
Well, we've spoken to your mum and dad about some of that.
What did she say? What did she tell you about me? Because she's a compulsive liar and a fantasist.
You can't print her toxic bullshit. You're meant to be a credible magazine that no one even reads. Your work is irrelevant. Dead. I fucking pee.
Mum's at the hospital. I'm gonna take the little man to Nathan's.
Did they say what sort of stroke? It could be like super minor.
Have a call with London, like Paddington Bear. Daddy's rules.
Girl, get up. Somebody kick her while she's down.
Can someone call an ambulance?
She doesn't like hospitals. You had a seizure. You need to see a doctor. Little boy was terrified. He was shaking.
I'm sorry that I collapsed.
Okay.
You think I'm a bad mum?
If you don't go in there, that's it. I'm
This
done.
really made me
Look like shared custody? You mean Nathan? How'd that even work? You're not on his birth certificate.
Do you have brain cancer? River of white girl tears. Being so mean to me.
Look, he just needs the 60K now as a deposit.
There's a cash flow.
Sorry? That money was raised for Hunter.
Belle, it's a simple question. Do you have cancer?
I really hope not.
Girl,
She's awful. She's so awful. She's so awful. She's so awful. Like, how do you so easily become that awful? Like, with that being shown, I really wanted to show that to really display, even with her being that awful, they still managed to make her in their own way. And actually, I already know what you're gonna say. A sympathetic character. They layered her. Ashley, don't make that face. They did. There were symptoms of sympathy for me. there were. There were, because you can clearly see that this is some type of learned behavior, especially with this mom. But as we get more into her upbringing, you have to be some type of troubled soul to, at 14, 15 years old, we're faking heart attacks and fainting and convulsing on the floor. We get into the relationship with her mom, who of course has MS, and her beginning of diving into these self-diagnoses. And at this point, we're like 19, maybe 18 years old, and we have a baby. And we create a plan to achieve by any means necessary, starting up there with Clive. Actually, I'm going to come to you first. Did you at any moment, when she was in the park and nobody came to her baby shower, did you at any moment care? Did you feel anything for her?
Hell no. And the only thing I felt was disdain that the creators, writers, showrunners, producers, all of that decided we needed to humanize her by giving her a trash mama. A lot of people have trash mamas and don't turn into a Belle Gibson. So hell no. I could understand it more when she was a teenager crying for help, all of those things. Fine. I'll give you that, girl. But when you get to a certain age, like the things that she did were utterly despicable and diabolical. Like it's that you're doing harm and you just really don't give a damn. You knew that this mother was counting on this GoFundMe for her dying son that you saw. You looked in this little boy's face and you still decided to spend all of that money? No, I feel nothing but disdain for Belle Gibson. She's terrible. I feel bad for that little boy. Up to a certain point, I felt bad for Clive, whatever his name is. To a certain point, but no, for Belle, not a piece. But they did try to humanize her. They did a little bit.
Do you think that she's sick?
Mentally ill, yes.
Yeah,
She should
okay.
be.
I was about to
She
say.
should be 5150. She should be institutionalized to this day, in my opinion.
Because this is an illness. Anybody who would go this far to find some quack in the middle of nowhere in some condemned building to just sit there and cater to your imaginary illnesses, your imaginary cancer, and just tell you what you want to hear. This is sick. Like, even though we gonna leave the cancer where it is, because baby, you never had it. She's still ill. Something's wrong with her. Joseph, at any moment, at any time, did you have any sympathy for Belle?
I probably have a more controversial take because I didn't think she was the real villain of this series, but I did feel bad for her. She seemed like a desperate woman who was just trying to do whatever she could to create the life she wants. Maybe it's because I live in Hollywood and everyone's faking until they make it. that she didn't seem that she's a nightmare, to be clear, but I felt bad for her.
I can get into maybe a hot take with Belle because I wasn't mad at her all the time. It was all almost like proud. Anybody, I'm sorry. Anybody who could finesse and make it this far, it is amazing. I don't know. She's terrible, and this is like a horrible scenario. But the fact that she's a high school dropout. We had no means. Clearly, there's no backing here from the parents. No anything. A terrible relationship with her mother. We ran away. 12. We're living on our own, basically from 12 all the way up. We become a teenage mother, and somehow we make it to stand in front of Apple. I don't know. I had a little mom moment, just a brief one. So that could most definitely be considered a hot take. But and then there's, like I said, also those elements of really noticing that even though she may not have brain cancer, she's not well. She is absolutely not well. A Night of Horror is in the house with the 4.99 super chat. Said, "Oh, she was showing out like a southern, like southern black folks at the funeral." I see she was. Nikki, you would enjoy this show. I need you to watch it. I need you to watch it, even though you probably not. I'm gonna recommend it anyway. Thank you so much. But getting into this here, actually, you didn't like. I was like kind of amazed at how far she made it. And we shouldn't be because white women go white women, but still
every single time. In my mind, you're telling people that you are terminally ill with brain cancer and you don't have a bag under your eye. You look fully moisturized. You look rejuvenated every time we see you. And no one says boo, girl.
Nobody. It amazed me. Like, no, the fact we're gonna get to it, but the fact that she made it that far, I was like, this is a story. Girl, she needs to. What she should have been doing was holding seminars and showing people how she got this far. But I don't think the apple fell that far from the tree. As far as Mama Gibson, we don't get a whole lot of her, but what we do get is just enough to show what kind of childhood she maybe had and but what maybe she had to deal with. This was just kind of sad, like the way that she was not trying to hold her daughter accountable, but kind of go out of her way to tear her down. But when she walked out of here with this pimp cane and this suit, it was like, is she gonna leave with her suit? You gonna just run up the mini bar in the hotel and everything? Like she had an agenda all her own, and I really enjoyed the conversation that they have when she visits her mom and they're sitting across the dinner table, and she's like taunting her, like, look at you. Nothing. You thought you was gonna be somebody, didn't you? And it's just like fuel for her fire. Or even that little brief moment where she's at least being honest and vulnerable and like, hey, I never knew that we needed to wash sheets. I didn't come up in that kind of life. Ashley, was she a chip off the old block, or do you really feel like this was all just concocted by Belle alone, her behavior, the antics, or did she get some of this from her mama? Because she did have MS.
Oh yeah. We're not gonna deny that she picked this up from her mama, and she said, "Bet, let me multiply it." Like, all right, I saw what you did for others. Let me go ahead and be the worst supervillain that I can be. She definitely had a terrible relationship with her mom. Her mom is definitely an opportunist. We can tell that she's probably a scammer with that pimp suit. When they said, "Well, ma'am, you drank all the liquor, you ordered all the room service. Well, you told me, that I could have lunch and dinner and breakfast and everything." Yeah, with no remorse after she just bashed her daughter. I won't deny that this was a terrible relationship, and this is probably where this Belle's trouble started. But I just feel like when you get to be a certain age, you got to take some responsibility. Like, you have to take some personal, like, the onus is on you at a certain point to put that behind you and not be worse than the thing that hurt you. You know what I mean? But Mama Gibson, yeah, she was terrible. She was a piece of work. God knows what else happened to Belle. And I'm glad we didn't dig into all of that, because with a mother like that, I'm sure there were other abuses that Belle endured, because no one really at that young age is going to just react that way. I think Belle is a product of not only her mom's behaviors, but probably some sort of trauma and abuse in her youth. So, I mean, I'll give it that, but I'll also give you a grown A woman now, and it's time to get some help.
Ashley said go to therapy. Yeah, I didn't know how far we were going to go with that once I did my homework on her story. She did, everything was pretty accurate. We did run away at 12 and we were kind of coasting and living with friends. But for a extended period of time, she lived with a 60-year-old man until, I was like, oh, okay. And we see, I think we have that moment in the show where it's clearly an older man, but I was like, that man wasn't 60. She lived with a 60-year-old man when she wasn't in his mother's house. Joseph, was Belle a chip off the old block? Was some of this learned behavior or due to her circumstances, or do you think this was all her and her mom was a good woman?
I don't think Mama Gibson was a good woman. I think maybe Belle was the result of not having a nurturing home. And her reaction to having to go home with Clive and clearly not looking forward to it said a lot. And my very first note about the mom was that she's a grade A button pusher. Like, she just seemed to know how to get under her daughter's skin. And that's a personality type. Yeah. So I think that really helped me feel bad for Belle.
There were things here I didn't and it's not like the trying to humanize her wasn't warranted. Ashley, this was accurate. This was the mom, even down to the little speech that she said at the table. Her mom said that. I was like, wow. But getting into these ladder of folks that were surrounding Miss Belle, we have Clive here. Clive is here. And I tried so hard to find this man, and he's very much so hidden. You don't really know a whole lot about him. So a lot of the things here you can take or leave because they could be fabricated because there's just not any information. But we do know that he was there. Clearly maybe a bit complacent, because I think they were still together right up until like 2023. So he was still here. He was still with this woman. But why the Clive that's depicted here, why did he stay? First of all, we get into Operation Rescue. I love how Belle is able to kind of zero in who she needs to attack first to get to where she needs to be. Not only does he rescue her from these little humble beginnings in this apartment, we move her out, get her home. We're, a step single father, if that makes any sense, a whole step single father for years. But he also provides the startup cash for her to even get this whole pantry and the idea running. But for the most part in the show, he's complacent and eternally suffering up until he isn't anymore. Joseph, why do you think Clive stayed with her for so long?
He's a chump. I mean, that's all I could think of. I've pulled a lot of stunts in my day, and even I would have told this man, you need to go ahead and leave me alone, because this is just, I mean, it's kind of funny at a point. Like, oh gosh, he funded her startup. Does he even have equity in it? She told him to his face, like, you're not on the birth certificate. I just don't know what equity he has in this relationship or business to want to stay. And I don't know. I mean, I don't picture Belle being able to put it down in a way that would keep him. I just don't know.
She's not.
Maybe Clive is special. I don't know. There's something that's not right about him, but bless his heart.
I was waiting on that too, but where she found him, oh, the brains of the operation. This is clearly a man of some form of education. He has some funds. He's not a bad looking man, as well as the man, the real life guy. And it was like all of this for white woman. Because that's all it was. It wasn't. She didn't offer you anything else. She just offered you, generic white woman. And then we have it to where I thought for a minute, like maybe he's just unaware and he's blissfully just, oh, I never knew that she was doing these things. And then eventually, when we have him, that scene where they're driving home in the car, and he's like, oh, we never have to go back and visit your mother again. And we have that flashback of the cancer unit. And I'm just like, oh, you're just staying here. It was really confirmed when I think they get their deluxe apartment in the sky. And he was like, all right, kind of achieved a whole lot. You're lying, right? You might want to dial it back. And she's like, no, I want this book published and I want this. I was like, so you were just here willingly suffering for what? To be a dad? I don't know. Ashley?
In the beginning, I felt for Clive. I was like, oh, look, he's just in a bad, he's a good man. He's just in a bad situation, Savannah. But no, Clive is right next to her. He's complicit in my mind. I feel like, and she says it later on, you like this life I made for us. You like it, Clive. Mm-hmm. That's why you're not leaving. Because let's be very clear. And I don't know how different the laws are in Australia than they are in the States, but clearly she's a neglectful mother. Clearly he could have had recordings of her and her lies, her behavior. He knows all of the secrets. If it was all about the baby, you could have filed and probably gotten custody. The daddy was no count. He wasn't ready to take on that responsibility. You love this baby. It wasn't about that baby. It wasn't. He liked something about the experience of it all. I'm convinced, even though they try to paint this narrative like Clive was just a good man and she wasn't going to let him see the baby. If that's your son, fight for him. Fight for him. You know what I mean? You had all of the evidence. You had all of these things that you could have presented to the authorities to help. Just like when we see that little fake scene where he's going to talk to bio dad about, I could help you. I could help you get custody. Help yourself, Clive. Like, I feel no sympathy for this man. He was complicit. He knew she was hurting people. And at the end of the day, he went along with it. I don't know if it was for the house, for the fringe benefits, because he funded the startup with his credit card, which again, very bad idea, young man. And I didn't see him work. I saw him as Mr. Mom when she got on and popping. So, I mean, he was profiting off of this as well.
Mm.
So
he had his feet kicked up is what you're saying.
He was the house husband of Australia. He was living his best life, taking the baby to play dates and, doing all the things.
Now, once we get it going, the bulk of this is just really getting into her being successful and the fruits that come along with that, as well as her really indulging in the endorphins of being adorned by all things social media. I really like that aspect too of the beginning. I was like, it's been so long since you saw like early Instagram and what it really used to be. Because right now, I think bells are like a dime a dozen, on everybody's selling something. But just for her to have that big open window to not only get on the cusp of something like Whole Pantry, but like I need to double down. Whole Pantry isn't doing what I needed to do. By the way, I have terminal brain cancer. But I cured it, I had, the 6 and 4 and 6 months and this and that, but I cured it with the Whole Pantry. You need to get Whole Pantry too. And they're just really eating this up. But a lot of this beyond that is just damage control, because she's realizing kind of the clock is ticking. People want to know if and when you had brain cancer. If so, can we have some proof? But aside from that, I like how she was able to zero in on who she needed to attack and attach herself to have her way, just like she did with Clive, with this crisis manager up here. I was like, I thought she was gonna stand strong, man. After he got in this woman's house, it was a done deal. I thought she was gonna give him some. I was like, how far are you willing to go, Belle, to get this crisis manager having his good time up in here? I didn't know what was gonna happen, but she just knows how to zero in on an emotion. And it's just like, of course, your crisis manager would be a quack as well. a drug addict, because you're not going to get anybody with a real practice and something to really lose to take you seriously. But we're always going to try to zero in to get into these optics and fix the situation. Also with this lady up here, this publisher who gave her the book deal, who was also associated with Apple. This lady knew. She knew, and I felt like she knew, because when she came into her home on that BS talking about the orchards and there, she's like, oh girl, you selling me something. You selling me something. There wasn't no orchard over there. Get away from here with these lies. Even fed that to her to flip the loss of the baby into something, and for that speech. I was like, she knew, and nobody cared. This was all about money. Ashley, how did you feel about how much success she was able to achieve, and how she was really nitpicky and zeroing in on the company she needed to keep to have her way?
I think so. Here's what I won't take away from Belle Gibson. I will not take her genius away from her. I think she had a knack for identifying talent. I think she had a knack for identifying gaps in the market of like what people need. I think she was a researcher. We saw her on the internet looking up ideas and how to, do this. So I will not take her genius away from her, but she's an evil mastermind. Let's be honest. She got all them people. She picked the best of the best to do whatever, whether it was the photographer, the coder, the app designer, all of that, and then skimped them all. It's what the black chick said throughout it. She would identify a person's strengths and use them till they were used up and she could move on down the road. I'm not surprised by the success, because I do think that she was genius in ways, in terms of, like I said, she found a market. She found people who were desperate, and she was solving a problem, right? So no, her success doesn't surprise me, but the fact that this old biddy, keeping it cute, could see right through her and went along with it just is beyond me. And I think what got in the way is that people let the idea of this financial gain cloud the judgment or cloud their vision to see that this was a terrible person. I think when she convinced that publisher to publish the cookbook, I think all she could see was dollar signs. But that lady knew she was a liar. She knew she was a liar from the beginning. So I mean, she got her just desserts. But yeah, no, the success doesn't surprise me, unfortunately.
Oh yeah, I love this moment where she was like, "Oh, she's really lying. Let me try to coast and coach her into kind of what to say in these moments, because do know that people are about to start asking you questions." Joseph, how did you feel about this, and the fact that we got this close to the fire and the funds and the money, and nobody bothered to ask her any real questions, or even at least confirm that she actually had brain cancer?
I think this highlights the idea that there's no real accountability or regulation in any of it. Like, I could get on my YouTube channel right now and say I have cancer. That's not illegal. And people could give me money and I could receive it. And that's not illegal. I'm not promising anything. I'm not offering. Like, I think what she was able to achieve shows the gaps in our, I don't want to say culture, but just like it's just like the wild, wild west out here. And that's why it's up to us to learn how to discern and differentiate between what's true, what's useful. So I feel like everyone who supported her is complicit in this, because like you also have to do your due diligence. Like you just found this lady's app and decided that that's your healthcare and bypassed like trained professionals. I mean, she did it because we allowed her to do it. That book publisher is in the business of making money and selling stories. So I feel like she was doing her job. It's not illegal for her to sell this story. It just will be a PR nightmare if it gets found out. So that's where she made her mistake. But
I didn't understand why she would even risk her credibility. Like, why even take that chance? And I just kept looking for something even recent just to see if Apple they like swept this under the rug so hard. They won't even comment on it, and they act like this whole incident never happened. Like they didn't have this lady's whole pantry on their Apple Watches. They just act like this didn't happen. They won't speak on it. Everything that you could ever find says no comment. It's like, Are you embarrassed? Are you not embarrassed? Is that what's going on? Like, why don't you guys want to comment on this? But it's like, y'all don't want to comment because you all knew and just was hoping that maybe it wouldn't get found out because she was just so popular. Now, we don't just focus on Belle here. We also have some really interesting side characters, and we have Lucy and Justin here. And I enjoyed her addition because you really get into somebody dealing with the bouts of chemotherapy and how it's affecting her everyday life, and really get the juxtaposition of the other end of the Instagram and the cell phone as to why someone like Belle would be appealing and have so much support, because people just really want something to grasp to because they're not feeling well in their health. And this is just, somebody here telling me everything that I could ever want to hear. Even my own husband can't tell me anything about Belle because I love her so much. She's a great person. I love when she invites her to the dinner and the party. She's like, I didn't get an invitation, but it's fine. Like, no, she's a liar. But we get into these best laid plans. You get into somebody, of course, who had so many things planned for their life, and we are instantly hit with cancer and this marriage being fractured. I thought, because side characters can really be thrown away, but I enjoyed her dynamic with Justin and his involvement with the publication that was trying to expose Belle, because you kind of have a 50-50 situation with him also, because he's trying to bring light to this injustice of Belle. Not only that, but you're affecting someone personal to me who is suffering and hanging on to your every word. You're killing people. But at the same time, it's like, well, how invested are you going to be? You have your wife here who could go at any moment, and she's off in the abyss, in the jungle, or dealing with these things on her own, and you're investing more time in the story instead of linking up and going to be with your wife. But Ashley, how did you feel about Lucy and Justin?
I liked how we got I liked how we got a complete narrative with them. I liked that we kind of got their meet cute. We got to see their romance, their fall in love, even how he detected her cancer, and then kind of the journey and where she was, initially hopeful. And seeing Belle's post, gave her courage. And I think that's what's so dangerous, not just about Belle, but Milla, we'll get into her as well. But this idea that a testimony is so powerful, right? Because it gives you hope. If you're going through the same thing, oh, they only gave her 4 to 6 months to live. And look, it's been 4 years. That means that this isn't the end for me. And if I just do what she says. And so I liked how we had Lucy all in, a true believer, and her husband as the skeptic, like, baby, no. How do we know? How do we know? Where's the proof? And I love that he was a journalist and we got to explore that more, and that he had a true motivation in getting to the truth. And I don't know how much of that is true, but I really enjoyed this part of the story. And ultimately, her journey, right? Because she decided she wasn't going to go fully conventional. She did chemo for as long as she did, and said, listen, I'm going to live out the rest of my life, whatever that looks like. So I'm going to go to the jungles. I'm going to pay these people as much as they want. I'm going to smoke this ayahuasca, whatever that she was
Yeah, we
smoking.
gonna go over that because I want to know what did you
I
think
liked it.
this what did this journey mean for you? Because by the time she started hallucinating and the leeches popped out, I was like, what's going on? What did you think about this? And just her kind of getting a happy ending, because once again, this is more so an unconventional route to health, but she has a complete turnaround and we see her moving forward with living her life. Ashley?
Oh, okay. I'm sorry. I thought it was Joseph's
You
turn.
brought it up. Like, let's go here.
Yeah, I really enjoyed it. Like I said, I liked how, again, because I think ultimately everyone has to make decisions for their own health. And we did see her go a traditional route and say, listen, this is what I'm going to do for me. And I mean, I thought she was a goner. When we didn't
Yeah.
see her for like episode 4, half of episode 5, I said, oh Lord, she died in the jungle. But I loved when we saw her back, her hair was growing back. I was like, oh, Justin got his woman back. Like I was here for that, because I think, and not that any of us ever become fully realized in this life, self-actualized, but I did like her level of awareness after. I think she's like, I tried this route. Ultimately, I just want to live whatever that looks like. And I thought it was a beautiful journey from start to finish. Even him relinquishing this idea, not of control per se, but of this being my person, but I have to let her be free to explore this, even though this could be the last time I see her. I think that takes a ton of strength of character on his part. And I loved seeing their story.
I was just glad she made it. Joseph, how did you feel about Justin and Lucy?
I like that Lucy represented like an aspect of the grieving process, like getting a diagnosis like this and how traumatic it could be, and her having to find her way. And like Ashley mentioned, she sort of, she went around and did what that did and then came back. And yeah, it felt hopeful. And I I did think it's funny though that Justin, his wife is dying of cancer and he stayed smoking a cigarette. But I will say one aspect of the series that confused me a little is I didn't realize, did the ending with them at the coffee shop seem like they had separated?
No, I thought that he went to join her, and it was supposed to give us hope that they were mending their marriage.
Okay. To me, it felt like they had separated and he just went back to visit her. But
Mm.
yeah. But no, I thought that her character specifically was a nice symbol of hope and finding direction. And, you know, again, a diagnosis like that, it's devastating and we would all react differently. So
I was just glad she took her destiny into her own hands and chose her own route. It wasn't chemo. It wasn't Belle. This is what I'm going to do. And it doesn't matter if nobody understands it. Even if it's my own partner, I'm going to the jungle and I'll be back. I was like, oh.
But when she hit that Apple Pay in the jungle, I
Yeah.
felt that would have been time for me to leave.
I thought it was free. I was like, dang, not even here. We got to pay here. I was like, man, what are y'all selling? I mean, if that's what we have to do to get back route, but I thought that it was just getting there, and this was gonna be, like, oh, she gonna be here. This gonna be some apocalypto type situation. She's gonna live off the land. It's gonna all be free, and they're gonna help her. I said, no, swipe that card. I was like, in the middle of nowhere, in the jungle. We're in the bush.
Oh, but somewhere a VPN or something. I said, how do they even have access to the internet? Like,
I didn't know. I'm surprised. Yeah, we are more than halfway through the discussion in this live. We're going to take a little pause for the cause and give you guys a moment to run it up, hit that like button, and also subscribe to anybody that you're new here or you've been here for a long time and you still haven't subscribed. I'm going to give you guys a minute to do that, and we are going to come right back.
White shirt, now red, my bloody nose sleeping. You're on your tippy toes, creeping around like no one knows. Think you're so criminal. Bruises on both my knees for you. Don't say thank you, oh please, I do. I want when I'm wanting to. So cynical. I'm a bad guy. Duh. So you're a tough guy, like it really rough guy. Just can't get enough guy, just always so buff guy. I'm that bad type, make your mama sad type, make your girlfriend mad type, and seduce your dad type. I'm a bad guy. Duh.
you're muted. You're muted.
I was talking to that man over there. To him to get out my face. Yes, y'all, welcome back. And I was yelling. I yelled, "We gotta pay here!" Like I couldn't believe that she had to pay there. I don't know why. Nothing in this life is free. I don't know why. I thought maybe this was just some, sabbatical, and it was going to be all from the earth. They said absolutely not. But we also get into this person here. I don't have a lot to say about her. Chanelle was trying to atone for that friendship. So I left my friend by the wayside for this opportunity. She wasn't taking kind of capitalizing on the engagement that she was receiving or the juice or trying to get funding and really starting a business the way I wanted to help me capitalize on my own degrees and what I'm trying to do with my life. I'm looking for business opportunities as well as friendship. If I can get both, that's even better. I'm going to go on over here at the first notion of Bill asking me to join up, at which we kind of have her leave her best friend. This isn't just some random friend. She said the mom raised her the whole nine, and the mom passes away. She's still over here suffering from her own illness, and Chanelle is over there sitting in the shabby, I don't know, I don't want to say doctor's office, I don't know what that was, that building, helping and watching Bella until she just really gets frustrated and realizes like, oh, you're not a good person, you don't even have cancer. Like, well, yeah, you kind of knew that, but she was ignoring all the red flags this entire time up until she kind of seeks retribution and tries to get payback. But by that time, our friend has passed away, and we're just kind of left with the hatred that we have for Belle. Ashley, what did you think about Chanelle?
It's Black History. I didn't enjoy Chanelle's character. I didn't. She was just there at the behest of the white woman. But I'm, too little, too late, Chanelle. Like, girl, and the fact that you didn't get paid, sis, like, and you're making all these recipes and delivering like the help, like, I was aggravated and annoyed almost every scene. And it's a beautiful actress, beautiful gowns, beautiful. But no, her character literally irked me. And again, at the end, what do you want to do, Milla? I'm right here. I'm ready to do your bidding. What do you need me to do? I wanted her to have some autonomy. I wanted her to stand up. I wanted to see a really good confrontation between she and Belle at the very least, especially when she shows up to your bestie's funeral. I was thinking, oh, we're gonna bust her out. We're gonna do something, and it just fell flat for me. I wanted more dimension from Chanelle. I wanted some ebbs and flows, and it was just very flat for me, unfortunately.
Oh, that sent me. When the fiance had to be the one down at the funeral to tell her off and to get her ass out of there, say, really? Chanelle, what can you do? Can you walk and chew gum at the same time? I expected you to stand up. Joseph, how did you feel about Chanelle?
I agree. She was annoying. And like, she's that horrible opportunist because she worked for how long and didn't get paid?
She get paid.
She's probably more mad that Belle's going under, so now she can't.
I didn't understand that. You would think, because everybody here seemed extremely whip smart, but everybody doing things and working so hard just off of, I guess, access to Belle and maybe the opportunities that they could get because they were attached to her. Like, nobody was making any money from the start. She never paid anybody. So it was like, why are you here being complacent and loyal and cooking and showing up? And I think the fact that the tip of her iceberg was when she found her food in the freezer. Like, oh, you didn't even give her my food. You was like, girl. But yeah, she did what she could in the end to try to salvage her.
I thought the food in the freezer was I took it as like, oh, she wanted it for herself. So that's someone wants your food. That's good. I don't know.
Well, I think it was because she wanted her to give the food to the family that was suffering. Right. That she was like, oh, you kept it for yourself. Like, I really think you're a bad person. And then she's looking in the little seedy doctor's office. Do you think that I was like, how what else does she need to do? But when she started to kind of ignore Milla when she was kind of throwing things in her face, like, look at this, skating site. She's been pulling these stunts since the beginning of time. I don't even think she has cancer. Like, oh, we're not supporting women. Like, it's Women's Month. Like, ma'am, all of this and you weren't getting paid. Chanelle, do better. But I at least thought she was going to throw that beer bottle at her windshield before she drove off from the funeral. She didn't do anything. But we get here. We get into the center of the show, Milla versus Belle, I mean. Ashley, was there a good side to be had? Because people are going to watch this and they're going to choose sides. But I love that it was divisive enough that you can't walk away from this saying, oh, this person was right and this person was wrong and I'm on this person's side. Everybody was morally gray. Ashley?
Oh yeah, for sure. And I enjoyed that. Like I felt like there was complexity with Mila's character because like I said, she was really sick. She didn't lie about that, right? After her coffee enemas and all that, she felt better for a little while. And she was sharing that. But the duplicity comes when you know it's not working. You basically kill your mama and you're steady peddling it. Also, this dynamic between Belle wasn't about Belle being a liar and not having cancer initially. It was rooted in jealousy to me. Like she's competing with me for my spot in the social world. And I don't like that. So no, and I like that they're both incredibly flawed. Even Milla, there is no one better than the other, in my opinion. Bella is just awful at her core, but Milla wasn't great for me, especially after the mama incident. I couldn't let that go. I couldn't get off her head, but I did at the end of the day still have compassion for her. I did. I was sad when she was in that doctor's office, Tyra, and he was like, nope, you're done. Your arm's gonna fall off and you're done. I was still sad for her. But again, I think the collateral damage was the same. You impacted all of these hundreds of thousands of people by spinning a yarn that wasn't true.
I just really enjoy the stalker of it all. Like, it's like everything that glitters isn't gold. Once you got to what you felt like maybe Milla had achieved, you couldn't even enjoy it. You had to spend all your time coping and trying to lie and cover things up. And I just really enjoyed the aspect of her being a stalker and how she kind of drove herself crazy. Just like, oh my God, like it's just so great. She spends so much time on that phone ogling at Milla's life, and Milla couldn't have been more unhappy, in the end. And the same thing went for her. Like nobody won here. Was anybody right or wrong for you, Joseph?
Okay, this is my controversial take because I think Mila's worse. First of all, she killed her mama. If I were her brother, I would forever think you killed our mom. Also, she is peddling like my overpriced juices will cure your arm lumps. Belle's not doing that. Belle is just capitalizing on the sympathy of like, I'm very sick. Here, make my little pumpkin tart or whatever that thing was. Like, I don't think Belle was going as hard as Milla was. Like, I can cure you with my herbs and spices. Also, she seemed awful from the moment we met her. I even wrote down, like, for someone who's so miserable, she sure wants to live. I don't know. I just think she felt like self-important in a way that was reckless. Whereas Belle, I think, just wanted to be someone by any means necessary. They're both insidious, but if I had to choose one who's the villain, to me, it's Milla. She killed her mother and had her bleeding out of her ass at the airport. Okay. She did. Did you see that?
It was. She was awful. Like you could like get into the seethingness, and it wasn't just like totally, which we'll get to. It wasn't just cancer. It was just the thought of her having to be an amputee, and it's like, oh, I don't. It's like it was just this righteousness about her. Like even the conversation where she was in the little supportive space, and I think the woman had her leg amputated, and she was like, well, I've been there. She's like, oh God, no, I don't want to be associated with any of this. Even being surrounded by anybody who's been suffering from cancer or is an amputee just reminds me of where I am and where I don't want to be. Yeah, I don't want any help. But of course, just like Belle, y'all know I had to have my little compilation of Miss Mama's here because she wasn't no prize neither. She wasn't a prize, but we love a good morally great character. We
I
do.
am
It
Dr.
makes for
Shu.
good shows.
I am Camilla's oncologist.
I'm Milla, and I'm not convinced it's the right course of action.
With adverse reactions recorded, such as anaphylaxis.
Please look at me when you're talking about me.
It's my arm.
Next time, we listen to the doctors and we do exactly what they tell us.
There won't be a next time, Joe.
No, I didn't beat it. I'm getting my arm cut off next week.
All right, we need to use proper doctors.
Oh, because I've looked at none of the research I've sent you.
Juice. Is that what it is? Juice? In the shops now, I'll make you as many juices as you like, Milla. Need to go back and see Dr. Shu.
And it was that moment I started not thinking with my head, but feeling with my body.
Have you got the book?
I ordered it, but it didn't arrive in time.
There's no point in coming if you do not have the book. How we begin?
You said you read the book.
Years ago.
Read the articles.
My fault.
Way to track where you're up to that could be automated, but like a meal planner.
I'm so sorry. I do really have to go. I want to change the world. And not because I'm grateful, but because I was right and they were wrong.
I know the money is borderline offensive.
I hate the product. 35 grams sugar, I can't.
I would say that coffee enemas aren't medically recommended with quite serious burns.
Well, that would have been performed incorrectly. Benefits the immunoboost alone.
There's also a decent risk of chronic proctocolitis. That's constant diarrhea.
And that's not been my lived experience at all.
Quite big opportunity has come up for me.
Belle Gibson.
She just wants me to help her out a bit.
Of course she does. She's competitive with me.
I don't think going on a diet before surgery is such a smart idea.
I've postponed it. Millie has had such good results. I feel like...
You know, she doesn't need your permission.
How
She's a
long?
grown-up.
How long?
Or radiation. Or chemo.
To do this. Right, not your mum's health.
Joe, I want to.
I'm not letting you kill your mother.
A bliss, love, strength, hope, and power. Just $16.95 a bottle. At just $14.95 a bottle. This isn't just juice. It's medicine. I've had a cancer in the past and a little flare-up in my arm.
It's because the government are scared of its potential to destroy the big cancer industry.
Sounds about right.
Do you want to try it?
That what you're serving is organic. This is false advertising. They poisoned me. Are you okay with that? Mum.
She's 28 years of age.
It's too far progressed. It might feel comforting to be prepared.
Fuck 3 months. My daughter has come to you for help and you...
I really feel sorry for this dad.
Can I just say something? Well, two things. First of all, when Milla let her mother spend like the grandmother's inheritance off of a book she didn't even read. That's number one. Number two, that doctor, I know if in the dictionary there's "I told you so," his picture should be there. I know when she left, he couldn't wait to call his colleagues and tell them.
I was really trying with Milla and trying to sympathize because it is really tough when you get this type of diagnosis. And what was she, 23 at the time? But we would just get into her fear. She's just so scared. Naturally so, we're going to be afraid, but we should also be smart. But it was also a hint of her kind of being too smart for her own good. We had, a loss of autonomy, but we had a really strong grip on our pride. She was extremely prideful, all the way down to the point that it affected your health. Like, the Hirsch program, we went over there, we tried it. A juice every single hour on the hour and 5 coffee enemas a day is insane. How are you even supposed to maintain that? Like, how? And even at the recommendation of all this investigative work, and we're going around the round table, and I can make you copies if you need. You didn't read up enough to read the actual book, or read this. Like, I read their motto. They say we can drink juice, and we can. I was like, what? We went all the way out here to Mexico and then some, and you couldn't even bother to read the book and do your due diligence. And then you have the mother reading up, and it's just all of these recommendations of what not to do in aftercare. Like, once you're drinking the juice, don't even bother to go get a scan or even screen for cancer again. Just, wait. Like, say it's a scam, or it might not work without saying it's a scam. But I was trying with Milla. When Milla sees that her tumors are returning, and we still opt to go forward with not only drinking the juice, but trying to peddle it to other people, saying that this cured me of whatever. And that man, because I got that man over there, and he gave me that pedal, and I was like, oh, that poor man, he was suffering too. Now, that was a good man, Savannah. You let that good man suffer when you could have been spending your days righteously and getting that damn arm amputated. But when your mother, girl, like... It would be different if it was working for her and this was some type of it worked for me, so I was hoping that it would work for my mother. You were suffering, and you subjected your mom to this and let her just die? For what? For your pride? Just because you couldn't accept your own diagnosis and because you had a strong fear of having your arm amputated to stop the cancer. This was insane. Ashley?
Yeah. 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 Denial, vanity, conceit, ego, all of that played into this. But like I said, this was the thing that was unforgivable. You know the lumps are back. You know you're wrapping up that arm every single day and trying to hide it. And you say, Mama, don't get this surgery that could save your life. Go on and be like me and die slowly. Yeah, there's no excuse for that. And again, it takes you back to the first initial meeting with the doctors because girl, there's great prosthetics now. Like, and I get wanting to be your own advocate, but she was so unserious. Like you said, you didn't even read the book and invested all of this money in, I mean, was snake oil basically, and then peddle it, right? Because you're trying to profiteer during the course of the whole thing. I hated this, and I thought you think as a person, I mean, at least for me, the people that I love and care about, I care about them more than I care about myself. So even if I'm like, okay, oh yeah, I know it's not, I don't want to tell anybody it's not working for me, but mama, you need to go get this done. They're saying this is what it is. You need to go be treated professionally. This is my journey that I'm walking out. But the fact that she pressured her, really kind of punked her into it, talk crazy to the daddy, all of
It
that,
did.
in order to kill her mama. I mean, that's truly the worst. That I have to concede that point, Joseph. I still despise Belle, but Milla was so wrong for that.
I despise them both, but it's just always going to be an extra ounce of sauce on it because that's your mother. That's your mother, and just the why would you soil those seeds of distrust and their relationship and their marriage just so you can have your way? Like, she, first of all, the mom was doing too much, just listening to her every whim, and I'm going to take the funding, and mom, and like when she told her to shush, she's like, you didn't read the book, like shush, shush. I read the articles, be quiet, we're paying attention. Or just like how she was shoving that tube for the enema when she started, like, oh, let me flush you out, and the mother is like in agony, just like, well, it shouldn't hurt, it doesn't hurt me. Everybody's different, you fool. Joseph.
Do you remember when Usher was doing those coffee enemas?
Yes.
Also, the Hirsch Institute reminded me of Saw X. Isn't that the plot of that movie, that they're going to Mexico to like this cancer center and then it's all fake?
All a lie.
Yeah, I mean, it's all trash. Milla, I mean, I think what Ashley said is right. It's like vanity, conceit. She had gone too far and had too much pride to let go of her nonsense. And I think when it's for yourself, that's one thing. But yeah, to bandage that arm up every day, looking like a toxic Avenger, and then tell your mom you don't need, I mean, it's diabolical. It really is crazy to me. I can't get over it.
It was. I just couldn't believe. Like, why would you put your dad in this position and place all this discontent within their marriage? Like, it was all, it wasn't juice, it was medicine until it wasn't.
Well, and her dad asking her about the mom, asking if she died in agony. I mean, that's wild to know that your mom, like, not only did you kill your mama, but she suffered for a long time. It's so crazy.
And then your mother's death is the catalyst for you to go, okay, all right, I had my fun. Y'all go ahead and cut it off, do what you have to do. And they're like, no, not only can we not proceed with cutting it off, but you have, this amount of time to live. It's too late. Like, I just couldn't believe this. And the fact that this actually happened. Now, they don't confirm whether or not it was the mother's choice or if it was, pushed on her more so by Milla. But you could tell just by the dynamics of the story, she did feel like, well, my daughter is seeing success, I want to go the same route. And the real mother actually had breast cancer. But this poor dad had to lose the wife and the daughter in such a short, this was crazy. But who in their right mind? This reminded me of that recent Candyman when you just gonna let your arm and your hand just let everything just build up before you went to the hospital. Okay. Like, it was just too much, but it was unfortunate. And even in this frame of mind, we could tell that she was unwell because we still made time for this woman. We still made time for this woman and to try to seek out vengeance. But in the end, what did Belle lose? What did she lose? What were the ramifications? What all, happened outside of, I guess, just her public image and people realizing that she was lying, she didn't suffer any consequences at all. At all. I was like, did she at least do a little time? Does fraud not matter anymore? She did no time. This woman got a fine that she didn't pay, that she did not pay, and she just kind of went on with her life. Like, Ashley, did she suffer in any way? Because this ringworm don't count.
No. And then you have the audacity to have head wraps down in Ethiopia trying to raise money for a tribe that you're not a part of. I can't with Belle. But it like, are you insane? But again, there's like Joseph said earlier, there's no accountability. Oh, in her broken English, there's no accountability. There's no consequences for this. So she'll continue on this way forever. If it's not one thing, it's another. And it's sickening because how are you getting away with this forever? Because and while the lies in itself wasn't, whatever, but you defrauded people. You started a GoFundMe, raised hundreds of thousands of dollars, how much ever it was, and you spent the money. Like you must do time, Belle. And the fact that they let her be over anybody's fundraiser going forward. But I think, just she blends in, like, really basic face, and she'll continue to get away with this until she's stopped.
Not a really basic face, Ashley. I just couldn't believe that nothing happened. Like, at least, at least a little cute slap on the wrist. I knew they wasn't going to put her away forever, but it's like, we're going to at least pretend to give some type of justice to the people. Like that brokenhearted family when they realize like my son is really going to die and I'm not going to get this funding from her because the heifer probably spent it on her appearance. You need to suffer for that. Joseph, did she lose anything? Like, why didn't this lady suffer any consequences?
This is why people pull these stunts, because there is no recourse. Like, what's the worst that'll happen? Because the gamble is that I become someone, notoriety, fame, money, and then if I lose it all because I'm a trash person, they can just come back 2 years from now. No one will remember her.
Mm-hmm.
They would have forgot her already if it weren't for Netflix. So really, I mean, this is why people do things like this.
I just couldn't believe that she was able to go down to Ethiopia and reinvent herself and do the exact same things. And then you have these people here having to take out their time and disassociate themselves. Like, we don't know her. She down here once again spewing rhetoric like, yes, we're here trying to, get funding, because not only were we at the time, raising money and trying to fund and cancer and this, she also was telling people that she was donating to all these charities and I was giving my money to Africa. And you took your butt down here after, the heat died down and tried to do the exact same things. And you have to have professionals come and speak out against you and say, we don't know that woman. We don't know that woman. But the fact that she is able to now continue on and do this is absolutely ridiculous. Y'all, that was the show. Before we give our final thoughts on all things Belle, do know that every single Saturday we have our members only watch along. This week is my turn, and this is what we're watching, because this movie is Black History. If nothing else is Black History, and if you want a part of it, be a part of it, be sure to become a member of the channel and join the Discord. All right, Ashley, I am going to come to you first. Any closing remarks for this doc, or anything that you could say to give levity to the situation? Because nobody got justice. Like,
Yeah, no one did. I think it was definitely worth a watch. Like I was surprised by the complexity of some of the topics that we dove into. Like, again, this idea of mortality, like what does your moral compass say? What is right and what's wrong, and will you be ultimately be held accountable for? I do think that there were hopeful moments and sad moments. I think they did a really great job. I feel like the acting was on par. I enjoyed it. It was definitely one of the better watches that I've had over the last couple of months. And for that, I'll tell Netflix, thank you. Belle Gibson must be stopped. There should be a campaign that started now immediately to end her reign of terror, because I don't think it stops here unless she's stopped.
no, absolutely not. Absolutely. And I'm sure, and that was like the beginning of Instagram. Just think about how many Belle Gibsons that there are. Joseph, any closing remarks for this series?
You know, I think this series should have been called Ringworm. And if that makes you curious about why, then you should check it out.
You should. Like that scene, I was like, what? Like, oh, the lying that was going on with this woman. But you guys be sure to join us later on, not too long after this live. We it's Fireman Friday, y'all. Y'all already know what we do on Fireman Fridays. Be sure to show up to the live after this one with your hands up and your cash out to have your viewer's choice, so we can discuss a fine man or a not so fine man in y'all case, because y'all be paying for some folks and getting to the ratings. And we're also going to be celebrating Valentine's Day and having a good time. Ashley, anything you want to promote before we get out of here?
No, just make sure that you're here tomorrow night for Severance. And then Mayfair is back on Monday. And I know it's terrible, y'all, but come and join us. Please just make sure you're subscribed to everyone here on the panel, and make sure you have those notification bells hit so you don't miss anything.
Absolutely. Joseph, anything you want to promote over there with them Fish and Jelly films? Anything that you guys have coming up soon?
I would recommend people check us out on Patreon. We talk a lot of shit on there.
Joseph said, run the funds. Run the funds. Come on over here and spend some bread.
I got to pay for this skincare. No.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Well spent skincare. But you guys be sure to support everybody here on this panel. Be sure to hit that like button. We will literally be back in an hour or so and getting to those fine men and celebrate Valentine's Day. And y'all already know the shenanigans we get into over there. So get over there quick and fast and enjoy us while you can, because y'all know once we're done, it's immediately going behind paywall because we're really reckless with our conversation. But we will definitely kick it with you guys next time. Be sure to support us tomorrow for Severance, as well as that members only watch along and all the content that we have coming for the rest of the week. Happy Valentine's Day, and everybody here have a good night. See you guys later.
And I'm black, y'all, and I'm blacker than black, and I'm black, y'all, and I'm black, y'all, and I'm black, y'all, and I'm blacker than black, and I'm black, y'all. I'm blickety black, blacker than black, I'm blacker than black, yo, because I'm black and I'm back. Yo, I'm black and I'm black, y'all, and I'm blacker than black, and I'm black, y'all, and I'm black, y'all, and I'm black, y'all, and I'm blacker than black, and I'm black, y'all, and I'm blickety black, 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 black.